My name is Helen Madeline Pahlow, P-A-H-L-O-W. I was born in Mount Rainier, Maryland, March the 12th, 1928. My mother was Madeline Olive Stang before she married my father, who was Pahlow. My father was Austin George Pahlow. My mother was from Montgomery County, Maryland. My father was from Brooklyn, New York. My mother and father, I had the best. I had the very best, and they trusted me. And as a child, I made the decision I never wanted to do anything that would make them ashamed of me or upset with me about anything. I knew as a kid that I was having the best time of my life. I had friends. I remember my parents would take me places. We had carnivals that would come to town. You know, it was a really free time, and I seemed to have money. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I really feel sorry for kids now because they don't seem to have the fun that we had. We had simple stuff.
They're like jacks, right?
Like jacks, jumping rope, yeah, and, you know, just playing Ginger Rogers. What is it you wanted to know?
So you were saying, you know, when he was in the hospital, tell us about what happened.
Oh, when he came home, he was fine for a while, and then he got pneumonia. And the pneumonia activated cancer. We were called one night at midnight to come in because they thought they were going to lose him. And, or they didn't think he had much longer to go. And my sister sat beside him, and I sat at the foot watching him. And we couldn't touch him, we couldn't hold his hand, and he and I always held hands. I don't care how old I was. When he came home in the Second World War, I was like 17. We held hands wherever we went. And so he was lying there, and all of a sudden, he came up.
He'd been in a coma, right?
No, he was awake.
He was awake?
He was awake, but we couldn't touch him.
No, I thought he'd been in a coma for a couple of days.
No, he hadn't been in a coma at all. He was in much pain. But he came up, and he looked up in the corner of the room. His face was like a glow. It's like somebody turned a light on. Somebody turned a spotlight on him. I mean, it was wonderful, wonderful. And he said, "The angels are coming." And I knew then he was a Christian because God was coming for him. He laid down and went into a coma. And he died about 2 days later.
Let's talk about how you met grandfather and how that all worked.
And one day, my girlfriend and I were up in my room because we were resting because we were going to go roller skating. And I heard my mother talking to somebody. And so when she shut the door downstairs, we looked out the window, and there was this fellow all dressed up in a blue suit. Of course, we just saw the back of him. He had blonde hair, and he was walking out the walk. And so we scrambled downstairs and said, "Who is that?" And she said, "He lives over across the street." He knocked on the door, and he said, "I don't mean to sound audacious, but I'd like to meet your daughter." And she said, "Well, do you know her name?" And he said, "No." The romance moved along pretty swift. I met him in September. He asked me to marry him in November. He gave me my ring in December. And 6 months later, we were married in June. His mother was a little shook up that he was marrying a floozy from Washington, D.C., I think. He had made up his mind that he was marrying me, so it didn't make much difference what his mother thought. Anyhow, we moved to Pittsfield, and I gave him all directions of what I wanted. I wanted a house with 3 bedrooms. I wanted a kitchen set told him what I wanted in the kitchen set. Told him I wanted a living room and a couple bathrooms. And I wanted a yard for Leaf to be able to play in. And I wanted porches. He went up and he got everything I wanted. I said to Bill one time, I don't feel my age, and yet I know there are certain things I can't do. And he said, well, that's because your spirit doesn't age. So I was talking to a woman in a grocery store one day not too long ago, and she said, I know I look old and I know I am old, but I don't feel old. And I said, well, it's because your spirit doesn't get old.
You're probably looking forward to seeing everybody someday.
Amen.
Yeah.
I am. I really am.